Manofinterests here, and I recently got this Nightfox in from our friends at Input Club. Now this is a pretty nifty board, and I want to do a first impressions as well as show you my build. Despite being a low profile keyboard, I think this keyboard is pretty sleek, slim, and kinda sexy, like a fox. When I received this Nightfox, everything was nicely packaged in individual pieces. I got the plate, case, stabilizers, and PCB. The PCB was nicely packaged in its own box. That's some good packaging. I didn't get any switches with my kit because Input Club had already sent me these Hako Violets switches, which I use. Building this board was the standard affair. I started with my stabilizers, as you always should. I clipped and lubed my stabilizers. Input Club includes plate-mounted stabilizers for the Nightfox, but the PCB also has holes to support PCB-mounted ones if you wanted to use traditional PCB-mounted stabilizers or screw-in ones. Next, I mounted all my switches into the plate and PCB. I usually like to mount my switches in the corners first, then populate the board somewhat randomly based on where I feel like the boards need the most support. Since your layout determines what plate you receive, there's no need to guess when you get to the bottom row. Your only choices to mount switches are the ones you see. This aluminum plate has a nice bonus of being switch top removal friendly. While that doesn't benefit me since I'm using box switches which have latches, it'll be a nice feature for those who want to use more traditional MX style switches to mod their switches in the future without desoldering. After your switches are all mounted in, check to make sure you don't have any bent pins and get soldering. To solder, I'm using my trusty TS100 with 60/40 solder. Tin the tip and get going. All you need to worry about is through-hole soldering, since all the major components are already soldered in for you, so you just need to do through-hole soldering for the switches and LEDs if you want to use those. After all that's done, you can install the rubber bump-ons at the bottom of the case and use the cone feet. Since the keyboard is so thin, I prefer using the cone feet rather than having a flat keyboard. Now that we're good there, let's throw this whole keyboard together. The top plate sits in the case and is securely mounted with 8 countersunk hex screws. After that, throw on some keycaps and you are done. I went the extra credit route and threw in a 0.1 inch Soberthane sheet to dampen the sound, and oh boy did it help. For reference, I cut the sheet to 12 inches by 3.75 inches. Now that this keyboard is built, I've been using it for the last few days. How's it been? This is a thin and low riding keyboard, and I mean low rider in the truest sense. Like those cars that get low and the bottom scrape against speed bumps and uneven streets. That's how I feel about the front of the Nightfox. Even with the rubber bumpers installed closest to you on the front lip, it will make the front lip dip and make contact with the table if you have the cone feet installed with the angle. This lowness makes this keyboard a bit too low for wrist rests. Now let's move on to the keycaps, and these are some great stock keycaps. Cherry profile, die subbed, PBT, in a wonderful black on dark gray colorway with gorgeous red accents. They are pretty thick, and they come with quite a few keys to support different layouts for different Nightfox and Whitefox revisions. The texture is really smooth, and they're nice to the touch, making for a nice typing experience. But what also helps with the typing experience are these Hako Violet switches, which are the lighter sister of the Hako Clear switch. I'll have a Which Switch episode in the future covering all the Hako switches, but as a brief overview, these switches have grown on me. Hako Trues are still my favorite of the Hako family, but these Hako Violets are delightfully light. It's a almost fun, light-hearted switch. I think they work well on the aluminum plate, and with these keycaps, it's a good wombo combo. For my layout, it is the TrueFox layout, which is, in my opinion, the best layout to go for a keyboard like this. Split backspace, you put your control where caps is, put an FN where that lower control is, you change your side keys, what I have, and you're kind of good to go. I think this is the best layout, although one oddity is the little gap between the arrow keys and the bottom row. Normally you'd see something like that on a high profile case, so it looks a bit odd on a low profile case, but I'd still rather have it than not. The fit and finish of this keyboard is nice. The anodization feels amazing. The black anodized countersunk screws work really nicely with the aesthetic of the case, and that USB-C port, it fits beautifully flush with the case. I'm not a fan of low profile designs, as I've stated previously in almost every single time I talk about keyboards, but the aesthetics make sense in this context and it really pulls it off well. With my setup, this Nightfox feels fantastic to type on. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this keyboard and I'm loving it so far. Ryan's getting a Whitefox and I'm excited to see his build and what he thinks. I'd like to extend a thanks to Input Club for making this video possible. Check out their store at kono.store and check out other Top Hat content when you get a chance. Thank you for watching.